Hi everyone, it's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 150,000, I think now, across our 8 LinkedIn groups. And of course, I don't get the pleasure of meeting everyone, but when I do, it's delight. And that's the case today because Louise Vidaurri has joined me today. If you think I've mispronounced her surname, I haven't. It's Basque and I got it right, but there is a D in there, but it turns into a V if you're speaking in proper Basque language. So, Louise, thank you so much for joining me today for this and for being one of our full members.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited.
That's great. We're going to have
Just yeah, go ahead.
some fun.
Yes.
So relax, and I'll lead the way. We're going to have a look at some of your work in a moment, but before we do that, perhaps you'd be kind enough just to say hi to everyone. Tell us where you're based and the work that you've been doing. And I'm hooked on this thing that you do, which is find nature, take a photograph, turn it into digital works of art. I love that. That's exciting me. But we'd love to know where your superpowers lie and where your passions are.
Do you want to know how I got started doing this?
Love to. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And my name is Louise Vidaurri, and it's the D has got a TH to it if you're speaking
Vidaurri.
proper Spanish.
Vidaurri.
Proper Spanish.
Got
I am not Spanish, you can see that.
it.
And I live in Sacramento, California, and I started doing photography actually during COVID. I live a block from the American River. And since we couldn't see our friends, and I'm a really friendly gal, have a lot of friends, it was killing me not to be able to see my friends. So I started taking walks along the river and I would see people along the way. But I then started taking photos of scenes it was late fall, uh, October, November, and I thought, well, wow, this is pretty interesting. And then I found these little apps that were on my telephone. I was doing this with my Samsung telephone, which has one of the best cameras in it for if you're an artist and want to work with a telephone too. Started taking pictures and working with the apps. And then I just noticed that something was evolving that just blew my mind. And I started, I have a big following on Facebook because I have a lot of friends from a lot of different worlds. And people started liking what I was posting. And they said, I didn't know you were an artist. I thought, well, I didn't either. So that's really how it started. But I've always been interested in art as a child, and I always did interior design in my family home because I was interested in colors and placement and all of that stuff, which worked really good for me when I went into real estate because I could stage homes and put homes together to look really good for sale. So there's a theme that runs through all of this. But I always wanted to be an artist. I wanted to paint. I wanted to draw. I could not. Had it not been for the digital age, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. And I am very, very grateful for that.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think there is that sense that we all have a camera in our pocket nowadays, and so that makes everybody a photographer. But I think it's great that you've explored that and the apps that can help you turn a photograph into something really that I think one of the quotes I saw on your website that you don't was that you you recreate nature. I think somebody kindly pointed out in the testimonials you've got on there, bringing
Mhm.
something else to it. You're bringing part of you to it, which is nice because it's your decision, your creative decision, and your talent that's informing the decisions about how you might manipulate an image to turn it into something even more beautiful. And I think that's great. So let's have a look at some of it, shall we? I'm going to share my screen
Oh, thank you.
and open up your website, which is at louisevidaurriphotoart.com. Here we are. I've been browsing through. Um, Tell me when to stop, when you'd like to give us the
Well,
narrative.
what I want to point out is I just have a wide variety of expressions, and you can see that. since you encouraged me to do some more abstracts, I've been working on more abstracts, and I did some great ones this weekend, but I didn't upload them, and I wish I had. Um,
Well, we'll
but
include them wherever this appears. There'll be a profile about you so that we can include those images in that profile. So
Okay, all
it'd
right,
be
thank
great
you.
to see. But perhaps
And go ahead.
one of the things I'd love to is for you to choose something that demonstrates beautifully the composition that you found in nature, the photograph that you then took, and then what you did to it afterwards to turn it into a digital work of art. Which one of those of the ones on this page illustrates that?
Well, the one looking back in time is over to the my left, your right, and it's a scene at Sutter Creek, which is where the gold rush started here in California. And there's a creek that noticeably, there's a creek that runs through the middle of town, and this is Sutter Creek. The name of the town is Sutter Creek, but the creek that runs through there, as you can see, that's how the old buildings were built over the creek when it began in time. And I took a picture, and all I did was play with it and add some fun color to it to make it a little more enhanced and like a fun piece to have in your home. But truly, I just thought it was really kind of fascinating to do that and just play with what was already there.
I think you're right in that digital technology has made it possible for more of us, indeed all of us, um, to play around with the imagery and install some of our creative decisions into it to turn a photograph into something that is more than that because it has your creativity in it and your decision-making process. So I think that's beautiful. So you can zoom in on the website and they're all for sale in different kinds of so you can have a canvas there, for example. So love that. What I love doing when I'm browsing through is to highlight things that really jump out to me, additional things. And I think, excuse me, when we last spoke, we look at this one and I could see things in here. Do you remember? So,
Well, I do too. That was the interesting thing. When I finished working on it, I could see people flying and I could see little faces. And then you told me, I see faces here. Look at this.
well, this is a side-on picture of somebody for me with a jutting chin and a beard and a quite a
I
sharp
see it.
pronounced nose. This is a rather flat forehead. So this is the head here. This
Mhm.
is the shoulder, absolutely the shoulder here. Some hair down the back of the head there. This is the arm coming down here and the jacket, and he's reading an illuminated book. Uh,
Oh, that is so interesting.
and he
Thank
had,
you.
this is his eye, and this is some spectacles. So this is what I love about work like this, and I gather this was also started life as a photograph, didn't it?
Actually, yeah, I was walking home from the river and I saw a crepe myrtle tree. I don't know if you have them in London, but here in California, crepe myrtles come in a multitude of colors and blossoms. But what I've always been intrigued by, I mean, they're blooms, but what I've been intrigued by the tree is that it has this really interesting wood. And this particular tree was peeling, the wood was peeling in a way that I had never seen before. I mean, it was just layers and layers. That's why you get all of this texture in here. It was layers of wood peeling back.
Mm.
And I mean, I was just fascinated by the tree by itself. But then I came home and started playing with it, and I just started. I loved the colors I could work with because each piece of art has an idea for a color that works well with it. And this kind of took a shape of its own. But interestingly enough, as soon as I was finished with it and put it up on my website, an interior designer called me and I mean texted me. She said, "I want that." Right. I want
Yeah,
that. And I said, okay,
yeah.
you got
But
it. Just
but
tell me
you're
what
you're
size.
you're right with the people flying because there is a woman here flying holding a harp. So this is the harp.
How interesting.
This is her arm. This is clearly a face with two eyes and long hair.
That's the one I have seen in myself, actually.
A trailing arm here, and this is her legs and the fishtail. So,
Right.
and there'll be others. I love it. I could spend hours just looking for the various things. What I love about this kind of work is that it gives me an opportunity to feel part of the creative process. So, I love that. Excellent.
But
Right. Now,
it's okay. Go ahead.
yeah, I want to make sure we have get on with the fun. So,
Yes,
that's wonderful. So it's Louise Vidaurri photoart.com, Vidaurri. Wherever this
it's a
appears,
mouthful.
it's a mouth. Wherever this appears, there will be links to you and information about you and more examples of work. So that will be great. But in order to have some fun, I'm going to now create your fantasy cultural year from the answers to 10 easy questions to which there are no wrong answers.
Okay.
We can do it together, but it's a nice way of pulling out your anecdotes and preferences. Now, the premise for this, excuse me, is that I have a magic wand and a time machine at my disposal. So we can go anywhere, see anything, do anything, go back in time, which is great fun. Now, in order to do this, I need to place you somewhere in the world, and it can be anywhere you like. So where would you, I'm going to do this by asking you, what's your favorite building?
Oh, I thought you would probably ask me that. And I took a photo of it. We have a rendition of it here in Sacramento on the Sacramento River. It's the ziggurat from Mesopotamia. It's an ancient building, and maybe you can see it somewhere, but of layers, and it's built in a pyramid style, but it's layers of walkways that go up, and it's really quite fascinating.
Is it in Sacramento?
Um, yes, but
It
it's
is.
I don't know. It's the original name for it is the ziggurat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they call it here, but
Okay,
it's
I
on the
noticed.
Sacramento.
There is a version in Sacramento, is there?
Yes,
Okay, well, let's show I'm not sure I'll find the Sacramento one, but let's show the, let
the
me,
original.
yeah, let's show the original and an artist's rendition of it. Would this be it?
Um, right here, down here at the lower, in the middle, down at the bottom. If you see, can you see my arrow pointing to it?
No.
Okay, it's right under where it says the Great Ziggurat, and then below it. And then there's one over, especially over on the right side, down in the lower section, are what ziggurats look like over
Yeah. It's,
farther over. Yes, right. Oh, I can't. That's the hard part, right?
don't worry.
Pointing to
It looks like
pointing
something
to what I see.
Game of Thrones, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and
So
so go below the one over on the far right where you were, because there's some more. Oh, okay, there it is. Right, the Pyramidal State Office Building, the Library of Congress.
there we
It's on the left-hand side, right there.
is that in
And then there,
Sacramento?
well, and then over here on the right-hand side, just below the big building, is the Sacramento Ziggurat, actually, fine art in America.
I'm just looking. Fine art in America.
Over at the on the right hand,
Oh, here. Yeah.
yes,
Wow.
is that
Okay.
amazing?
Yeah, isn't it? Right. So I'd like
Mhm.
you to imagine that there's a pop-up cafe here in sight of this wonderful building. Okay. You're sitting there and it's 6 p.m. on a June evening. It's warm and sunny, and there is a drink next to you. What would we find there?
I don't drink alcohol, so lemonade is my new drink of choice.
Homemade lemonade, perhaps?
Yeah, uh-huh. Well, there's a bartender, a friend of mine, and I had a lemonade from her that I don't know what it had in it, but it was really great. It's some kind of cream de cocoa or something.
Fantastic.
So it would be an exotic lemonade, I can tell you that, because I
There we
like
go.
lots of
An
flavor.
exotic
Yeah.
lemonade. And next to you is a book that you've been rereading or reading. It could be your favorite book. It could be a recent discovery. It could be a book that's been with you all your life that you've reread. What would we find there next to you?
I just started reading it, and sadly, I'm horrible at remembering the names of books, but I've read a lot. And it's talking about light and how we create our own light and how there's light in the world that we see, but the light comes from us. It's very philosophical, but it's also science based because the writer of it is a scientist. So, um, and I work with light, so it speaks to me.
Is it called The Light Within Us?
Do I have a second to grab it off my reading stand?
The Light Within Us, a heart-wrenching historical family saga set in Cornwall. No, it doesn't sound.
No,
No,
no.
no. We'll come back to that, but we'll put it
Okay.
in the profile, so we'll be good. Okay, so you've got the book and the drink. Now, you're feeling quite pleased with yourself because you've just come from a meeting in the Ziggurat with a wealthy California family foundation.
I
Okay.
love that.
Who have fallen in love with the work that you do, and especially the way that you take natural composition, use photography to turn it into a work of art. They've considered this to be a rather exciting new art form that you've inadvertently created, and they'd like to hire you for a year, okay,
I love that.
at great expense. It's first class all the way. They'd like you to tour the world to create a coffee table book of imagery from different parts of the world, entirely up to you where you go, working with other photographers and artists and naturalists all over the world. There's a TED talk in it when you get back. There is a coffee table book published, the book deal. There's a TV crew that are going to follow you and record it, so you have a TV series when you get home.
I love that.
And then you're going to go on a global university lecture tour. First class all the way.
That's a biggie.
Friends and family can come and visit you at any time. Does that sound like fun?
It does sound like fun.
Doesn't it?
I need the energy, but yes, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, you can take your time. It's good. So assuming you're going to accept this assignment and the big, really rather large check that is there, all you need to decide is where would you start this project? You can go anywhere in the world.
Hmm. You know, that that's a hard choice for me to make. I've traveled in Morocco, and ancient buildings are really quite compelling. I've always wanted to go to Turkey, so I'm enthusiastic about that. But I like to see what was created in the old world that's been transferred and updated into the new world. So I'm saying that probably someplace in the Middle East, which is really quite frightening to say that right now, but
Yeah.
it's a thought.
How about Jerusalem?
Um, kind of, that's kind of scary. I think.
Don't forget
Um,
we have a time machine so we can go back to more peaceful times.
yes, okay. I would be open to that. Um, I I mean, I grew up as a Christian. It's not my motivating force because I've become much more expanded in my view of the world. Um, I can say maybe Jerusalem.
Okay. I think it's called, I've been there several times.
Uh-huh.
It's I think it's called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, and it has
Hmm.
four
Hmm.
quadrants for different religions, all under one roof. It was,
That would be fascinating.
yeah, it was fascinating. You have the Christian quarter of the church, the Muslim quarter, and the Jewish quarter, and I think the Orthodox, and everybody seems to get on fine.
Well, I love that because I've become very integrated in my perspective
Yeah. Okay, let's
regarding
go for
life.
Jerusalem, contentious though it
Okay.
may be. Right. So you're on the plane. Okay. You turn left on the aeroplane because you're traveling first class. The steward brings you a glass of that special lemonade that we talked about, and a note from the wealthy Californian Family Foundation who are funding your trip.
Hmm.
The note constitutes a challenge. They'd like you to limit your musical listening to one very specific genre or type of music for 12 months. If you had to do that, what would you choose?
Blues, but not ragtime.
Right, blues. So who might
Progressive blues.
who might be on your playlist then, your blues
Oh,
playlist?
see, that's the hard part about me. I don't remember names until I see people. It's just a horrible thing about me. Um,
Bonamassa, what's his name? Bonamassa, somebody, the guitarist. That's we'll have
well,
to,
if I'm really honest, I like music of the world because it's everything.
yeah.
Yeah, because I really, and it's a lot of rhythm because I listen to music of the world and they play all these different genres and I really love that. So I would
I-
really need that.
Somebody rather cleverly chose live music,
Yes, that's hard.
which covered everything. Okay, well, you're with
Yeah.
blues. We're blues. I think we'll allow blues, which is great.
Okay.
Now you arrive in Jerusalem, and a group of art students welcome you at the airport, whisk you into Jerusalem. You've got a beautiful loft and terraced apartment overlooking the Wailing Wall, even.
Interesting.
And they say, settle in. You've got staff, you've got transport laid on. They want you allow you to settle in and unpack, and they're going to come back and take you out to a dance performance and then out to dinner. Okay. This is where the magic wand and the time machine come in. Because I can put any dance performance on the stage in front of you, historical or otherwise. You don't have to be in Middle Eastern culture if you don't wish. So if you could relive or watch any dance-based performance, is there something that springs to mind?
Oh dear God.
Others have chosen ballet, or
I
they.
I I I am a very integrated person. I love all forms of entertainment. I truly do. That's why it's hard for me to choose. I don't have a specific one that I love more. I do love to see a good ballet performance. Don't ask me to name them.
I think we'll go back in time and we'll see Rudolph Nureyev and Margot Fontaine in something like Swan Lake or Giselle. I think that would be lovely.
Isn't that what everybody chooses?
No,
I,
no.
you know, well, but the other thing is from Broadway, and I love the new dancing that they do there and how expressive it is
Mm,
and full of life, and full of soul. And I think any form of dance is so disciplined that you have to appreciate it if it's
yeah,
done well. So that's just how I am.
that's perfectly fine. Now, Jerusalem is a cosmopolitan city um, with national cuisine from all over the world. The first time I visited Tel Aviv, my host took me to an Iraqi restaurant in Tel Aviv. Can you imagine? It
Hmm.
was full and everybody was getting on fire. No. So you can choose any national cuisine for dinner after the show. What would you choose, Louise? You don't have to stay local. You can choose any national cuisine.
No, I have eaten a lot of different foods. I like spicy food. So, I mean, I Moroccan food I loved when I was there because it was so spicy. And so, I mean, and Turkey, they have great food. There's
Mm,
I'm not so much into just bagels and plain food. I like it to have a lot of flavor. So that's what's hard for me. It's got to be spicy.
spicy. Spicy it is.
Yeah. And it can come from almost any country because if they cook well with good seasonings.
Yeah. Okay. Done. Now we're going to fly again somewhere else from Jerusalem. Where are we going? Anywhere else in the
Oh,
world.
oh crap. Really? Okay.
It doesn't have to be places you've been to. It could be somewhere that you'd love to go to that haven't yet.
Hmm. Well, that leaves a lot of openings for me since I haven't traveled everywhere. Well, you know what? I haven't been to Mexico City, and I've heard that it's very provocative and it has a lot of art and museums. And I think I would really like to find out, since I'm so close to Mexico, I'd like to learn more about Mexico and the
That's
people who there and their history.
great. That's great. Now it's sport day in Mexico, okay, when we get there. Some sports are considered performance art. We had breakdancing in the Olympics last year, for example. If you had to, are you a sports fan?
Sometimes
What sport would you like to watch for a couple of hours? Anything you like.
I like rugby.
Well, there's a surprise. I love rugby.
I'm
Um,
not good at it. I'm not good at knowing things. I just like to watch because it's so exciting.
yes, it's attractive men with huge thighs and no armor on.
Thank you.
It's like American
And
football.
they're not trying to kill each other.
No, well,
Well, sometimes, but it's not like American football where people are trying to kill each other.
yeah, there are yes, it's still a collision sport, but it's without the
I
passion.
know.
And they're all in
Yes.
the bar drinking and shape and having fun together afterwards. So
Yes.
yeah, the that rugby's great. Excellent. Now we're going to buzz again. Where are we going? Another location, another global location, please, Louise.
Well, this is quite fun. I'm getting tired just thinking of all these things.
You've got
Um,
staff who are packing for you, don't worry.
all right. Well, I'd like to go to Canada. I haven't been to Canada, and there's a reason for it. I was in real estate for 30 years, and summer's the time to go to Canada, and I was always working my butt off in the summertime, so I didn't make it. But Canada, I
Okay,
would
where
like
would
that.
you like to go in Canada?
There is a train that goes all the way across Canada.
Mm.
That's what I would like to do that. You
Oh,
can start on the eastern or western seaboard and
yeah.
just go ride the train and stop.
I'm going to find out what it's called. Is it the Rocky Mountaineer?
I don't
Uh,
know. We have the
that's,
Rocky Mountains here, but maybe.
yeah, that sounds wonderful with a glass top on the top of the train so you can see everything.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
think it's the Rocky Mountain. Um, that's wonderful. So you might go from, I don't know, Toronto to Vancouver or
Yes.
yeah,
That, well, for me, I'd probably leave from Vancouver and go across
yeah.
since it's just up the road.
Okay. So where would you like to end up on that train? Which side of the continent would you like to be?
Um, if we ended up on the east side, I'd like to be there because I love New York and I'd love to go. I could go to New York.
Okay, that's yeah, we'll pop down to New York. So we've done the train journey and we're now
Yes,
in New York City. Now there's a new digitally enhanced art gallery in New York in which you can put on a set of virtual reality glasses and you can step into the work of a famous artist.
that
It
would be
becomes
wonderful.
it becomes three-dimensional. It's 360 degrees. It may be animated, and you can see in three dimensions what the artist could not show in two. So in those circumstances, who whose work would you like to explore in that way?
Mark Chagall.
Oh, I've got a Marc Chagall story. Uh,
I'd love to hear it. I love his art.
I used to program a festival in Tel Aviv for a client many years ago, and she was an opera singer. Her mother was a classical concert pianist, and her father was an art collector called Marcus Misner. And she was quite old when I was working with her, so her father died in '94. But he used to bail out struggling artists in return for their work, and that included Mondrian, Kandinsky, Marc Chagall, and Klimt. And when
Wow.
he died in '94, he donated his art collection to the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, and
Oh,
they had to build a new wing for it.
of course.
I've been there, and it's incredible. But when I first met Annette, I met she lives next to the American Embassy in Grosvenor Square in central London, And in her sitting room, there were two grand pianos, full-size grand pianos, and on the paint on the wall there were two Marc Chagall's. And she told me the story that she her father had obtained this painting from Marc Chagall before he died, and it hadn't been assigned or attributed or signed. So the three of them went to Saint Paul de Vence in the south of France, where Marc Chagall in his later years was still living, and to ask him to sign it. And not only did he sign it and provide the provenance that it needed, he was so delighted that they had come to see him that he gave them another one.
Oh my gosh.
The 14th
That's
14th most valuable artist, I believe. And so there they were, two Marc Chagall's on her wall. So
I'm only jealous, that's all.
that's my Chagall story. Right.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's a great story. I'm now going to whisk you back to London. Okay. And you and I are going out every night for 5 nights in London to do something artistic and cultural. Okay. On Monday, we're going to a pop or rock concert. Could be historical. Tuesday, we're going to a theatre play. On Wednesday, we're going to a West End or a Broadway musical. On Thursday, we're going to the opera. And on Friday, we're going to the movies. And between us, we can decide what we see. So, and this is the magic wand and time machine. Is there a music performance that you would love to go back to that you enjoyed enormously? Or is there one that you could have gone to live and didn't and now can't?
I did see the Phantom of the Opera twice, and I still would see it again
That's a
because
great,
I loved, yes, I loved it.
that's
But
lovely.
I know there's many more, but that's the one that's been pretty. Some things when I love them, I just have to go see them 2 or 3 times, even art.
Yeah, we'll whisk you back to the opening night of Phantom of the Opera. There we go. What about a theatre play? We're in London, so we've got the Globe Theatre for the Shakespeare if we want it. Is there a play that you'd really like to see, or would you like me to suggest one?
I would like you to suggest one. I have read the complete works of Shakespeare, but I'd like you to suggest one.
Wow. That's more than I've done. I can name
That
most.
was that
I,
was when I was a kid. I was 12. I
uh,
had a summer. I had a summer, and I just was thought, well, everybody's read this. I should read it.
well, I think let's do Macbeth at the Globe Theatre in
Oh my God. Okay.
End. That would be good. Now you've done musical already. Is there another West End or Broadway musical that you would love to see?
No, because I don't get to New York very often, and I
Okay.
should, but I don't.
I'm going to whisk you back to, I assume it's New York, for the opening night of West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein. I think that would be
Mhm.
great fun. Love to be at
It
that.
would.
Are you an opera fan, Louise?
Like I said, I like every
You like
if it's
everything?
good. Yeah, if I mean I will watch it, and I haven't been to. I may have been because at the age I am, I've done a lot of things that I don't recall sometimes. So,
I'm the same.
but
That's
if it's good, I will love it. It's just the way I am.
yeah.
I'm very integrative, and if it's good, I will love it.
Well, I think
If
we
it
should
speaks to my
see
heart.
Tosca by Puccini at the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden in London. I think that would be
Okay, I
wonderful.
will trust you on that.
Now, okay, movie, big screen,
Yes.
surround sound, best seats in the house, nobody else there. What would you love to see on the screen?
Oh, dear Jesus. Why are you doing this to me? It's not easy for me. Um, make some, give me some suggestions because I've seen a lot of movies.
Okay, I think apparently last week was the 50th anniversary of Jaws, the
Oh
movie.
my God. Yeah. How many times did I see that?
Yeah, how old does that make us feel?
Pretty old.
50,
considering.
50 years of Jaws.
Yes, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I
that
remember. I remember who I went with to see it. That I remember.
I
That's
know,
interesting.
yeah. And you know that the even crazier thing is that Steven Spielberg was 25 when he directed it. That just, you
Oh
know,
my God,
yeah,
he was phenomenal then
it was absolutely. It's a
for
bit
that
like,
time in history.
yeah, a bit like Dolly Parton. I found out the other day that she wrote 9 to 5 and Jolene on the same day.
No kidding.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
isn't it? Love that.
Hmm.
But Steven Spielberg at 25 directing Jaws, it was absolutely groundbreaking. It was great. So I love that. Excellent. Well, we've done that. Now we're nearly there, and I'm going to let you go
Okay.
to travel the world and complete your project. But I'm going to give you a hero lunch. Okay. We're in London. We're at a beautiful restaurant, spicy restaurant. Uh,
Is that hard to find in London?
no, 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 no. You'll be fine.
Not ne No.
Um,
Okay.
Now you can invite anyone you like to join you for lunch, and they will come. They can be famous or otherwise, living or not, historical or present day. But if you could have a leisurely 2 hour lunch with anybody you liked, who would you choose?
How about the new Pope?
Oh, interesting.
I find him fascinating. I would like to meet him and
Yeah,
have conversation with him.
that would be fascinating, wouldn't it? Did you have
I
you
think
seen?
so.
Did you watch Conclave, the movie about that was brilliantly timed release?
Yes, and I had also read a book about it years ago that was quite fascinating. Oh, who was it? There was an author that was, and I don't know if he's still alive. He was a priest and he wrote all these books that
Mm,
stirred up the Catholic Church because he revealed a lot of things that went behind closed doors. And I had read his book. So when I saw Conclave, um, it was interesting for me, but the writer, and I can't remember his name. See, that's my problem. I don't remember all these people's names.
mm,
Um, he wrote so many intimate details about what goes on in the background by some, and I'm not blaming the Catholic Church because there's scandal everywhere, but
mm.
some of the scandalous things that had occurred. And he didn't get blacklisted, but he wasn't well received anymore either.
Yeah, I can imagine.
After yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. So yeah, Pope, I can't remember his name. What name did he adopt?
Oh, good. Oh God, I don't know. But I've read his writings and I just find him quite open-hearted and down to earth and realistic. And that's what I'd love to talk to him about.
Yeah, that would be a fascinating. Um, where is he? Pope Leo the
There,
14th, I think. Yeah,
that sounds right.
that sounds, yeah. Given name is Robert Francis Prevost. He was elected by the College of Cardinals following the death of Pope Francis on Easter Monday, 2025. First American to be elected to the papacy. He is also the first Augustinian pontiff. There we go. Interesting.
Wow.
What a great choice.
Mhm.
There we are. That
There,
is
we
your
did it.
fantasy cultural year complete.
That's pretty exciting.
You get
Do you think I'll
home.
get called? I'll get called so I can have interviews with these people.
Absolutely. TED Talk is in the bag. The coffee table book is being published. The TV series is out on Netflix. The Global University Lecture Tour is in the bag, and you've become the go-to commentator on this art form which blends nature with photography with digital art. Does that sound like fun?
It does sound like fun. Just talking about it has made me a little fatigued, but I think maybe I could get up for that.
Louise, thank you so much for being a good sport and allowing me to take you on a fantasy cultural year. It's been lovely. Thank you. Wherever this appears, there'll
Thank you.
be information about you and examples of the work, especially the new things that if you send them through. And thank you again for being one of our full members. We're entirely member funded as a community, so it's very much appreciated. And thank you for coming along to our events and being such a valuable member. It's very much appreciated. Thank you so
Well,
much.
I just want to say thank you because you've been very encouraging. And for you to say, why don't you focus on abstracts has really set me free because I've been doing a lot of work in that. and I'm really excited about it.
I think that's lovely because it allows your customers to feel part of the creative process,
Exactly.
which is great fun. Thank you so much, Louise. Don't rush off, but for the time being, thank you so much for joining me for this today.
All right. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.